Hello my snacks, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed today's weird stories. I'm currently losing my voice as I'm a little bit sick. So apologies if I lose my tone a bit as we go along, but otherwise let's get into it. We start off today in true off my chest with a story that began 2 months ago and has been updated about 4 times ever since. I've fallen in love with the husband of the woman my husband is cheating on me with. Yes, it's a very complicated story of sorts, which doesn't exactly have the happiest of endings, but a resolved one nonetheless. I'm a 36-year-old female, and my husband is 38 male. We have been together for 10 years. We have one daughter who's 6. She's everything to me. I found out a year ago that my husband is sleeping with his employee who's a 30-year-old female. How? Her husband, let's call him Jay, 35 male, contacted me. He was heartbroken, and he thought that I ought to know. He provided me with text messages and dated when they've been in hotels. I recognized my husband's style, and I recognized the other woman. I have seen her on multiple occasions when I visited my husband at work. She's been nothing but kind and pleasant towards me, and she always doted on my daughter. I asked Jay what he wanted to do, and he said that he wasn't sure yet, so I requested that we should meet. He agreed. I told him about my life and that I'm currently not working after the pandemic. I lost my job, and now the economy, I haven't really had any opportunity to find a job. Instead, I've been studying the past 2 years. If I divorce now, I won't be able to provide for my daughter. That would probably put her in my husband's custody as a primary provider. I asked him if he could wait for a few months, hopefully longer, therefore, and to my surprise, he agreed. I thanked him profusely, but he told me that he didn't want to do it either, so he's happy to wait. The other woman has 3 children from a previous relationship, and he was worried that she would refuse him being in their lives once he confronted her because he's not the father. Seriously, is this woman trying to play Pokemon with other fathers' kids? Oh, OP, you have a lovely little daughter. I want it! We kept in touch, however. He called me a few times a week, and soon we started talking about other things other than our failed marriages. Afterwards, we started going for walks, coffee, movies, etc. I found myself thinking about him often with a smile on my face. He was the first thing I thought of in the morning and the last thing I thought of before going to bed. For the last 3 to 4 months, we probably mentioned our spouses once or twice. We talk about everything else, and he always makes me laugh. He thinks I'm funny too. 2 weeks ago, we were having a picnic and he just blurted out, "I think that I'm in love with you." When he then explained himself, it just drove the point home that I am also in love with him. He said that at first, he wasn't sure why he was feeling like this towards me, and explained it away as 2 jilted people finding comfort in each other, but then he realized that he wasn't broken anymore, that he even thinks of his wife's infidelity as a blessing because it led him to me. That was exactly how I felt too. I didn't know what to say. I told him that I'm terrified that these are false feelings that would go away once we've freed ourselves from those who hurt us. He just beamed at me and said he was willing to take the risk just to find out. He kissed my hand because I thought we were still married, and if we did something, then how are we better than our significant others? Well, you're better because at this point you're basically both single anyway. Like, I'm sorry, the moment you cheat on someone, you relinquish any sort of hold you have over them in terms of monogamous traditions. I don't know what to do now. I find myself daydreaming about him, about introducing him to my daughter, kissing him, waking up next to him every morning. I still have 1 semester left, and then I'm probably going to find a job. I've already had some offers for when I'm finished with my studies. I have thanked Jay so many times for being so patient with me about everything. I appreciate that he's waiting for me to put my life in order before we expose our spouses who aren't really seeing each other as often as they used to do. He told me he's happy to help, and he just wants a real kiss as a thank you when everything is over. My goal now is to secure my job and leave this marriage. Am I pathetic for wanting to give Jay and I a shot and see where it would go? Can 2 broken hearts really find happiness together when their love story started like ours? Well, of course, the comments at the time, loving this sort of tea on Reddit, were in full of support. The look on these cheating spouses' faces when they find out that the people they've been cheating on have found love in themselves. So thankfully, OP takes this on board, and they begin their beautiful, blossoming relationship. Jay and I have decided not to see each other anymore. Hi again. This is not an update, since nothing new has happened in my life, but I've been feeling so down lately and my emotions are all over the place. Hopefully this post will help me sort out my feelings. I'm sorry if you find it confusing, but this is how I'm feeling right now. Confusion. Also, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a long and bumpy ride like my last one. I'm still busy with my studies, especially now so close to the holidays. Thereafter, I'm going to have a break until January 16 and the start of my last semester. I have got 2 job offers, one with unpaid internship starting in April. I like this job very much since I would be working from my laptop most of the days. The other one is more of an in-office job, but with better pay. Don't know how the custody arrangement is going to be, but I feel like a job with more flexible hours is a better fit for me. The reason why I'm writing now is that Jay and I met yesterday. If you remember my last, we decided not to see each other, at least not as often, since the I love you talk. We did good keeping that promise, but we still saw each other once since I wrote here, and we continued texting and calling each other on a daily basis. Yesterday, we met on Jay's initiative. When I got to the park, to our usual meeting spot, Jay was already there. He had flowers, coffee, and cake. I love cake. And he told me that we're going to have a little celebration. He said that today was the day we first met a year ago. Yes, it was. I remember that day very well. It was raining then too, but it was much gloomier. I remembered how broken and desperate I was. The feeling that my world had ended. We talked a lot about the progress we made and how much stronger we both felt now. He told me he loved me and it was all I could do not to just frick everything and jump into his arms. He is so lovely. When I got home, my husband had already picked up our daughter and they were just joking around and having fun. I felt so much sadness and pure horror building up inside me. What am I doing? What are we doing? All of us. The guilt that washed over me, seeing my daughter's happy face playing around with her food. I couldn't take it. My husband and the other woman haven't texted at all this month, and they haven't met either, or at least as far as Jay and I know. Of course, they work together, so we don't know if the affair has subsided, or that they just have learned to be more cautious, but my husband has been more attentive at home, warmer and more present. He says he loves me all the time and that he misses me. I haven't been intimate with him since I found out about the affair, and even the smallest touch from him irks me, and any beautiful word or compliment from him sets my teeth on edge. I just want to scream liar, and I feel like I'm cheating on Jay, accepting my husband's affection, and the disdain for myself becomes unbearable. Make this make sense. Please. I looked at my husband and tried to remember what I loved about him, but I couldn't. All I could see is his text to her, about how great last time was and what he wanted to do to her next. All the things he once said he wanted to do and did to me that made me feel so special. I tried to think harder about the love, but all I saw was Jay's face. I felt immense rage and hatred towards my husband, but also towards myself and Jay. My husband because he broke us and brought this mess upon us, and myself because I felt that I wasn't trying hard enough with my heart occupied with someone else. Have I just given up so easily because I loved Jay? And my daughter? She is the one who's going to pay the hard price of seeing her home break because daddy is a selfish, greedy cheater and mummy isn't trying hard enough to save her marriage when she is pining for another man. I couldn't control my feelings of anger and resentment and guilt, so I wrote Jay a long text telling him all this and more. He tried to call me, but I couldn't answer him. My heart was swollen in my throat. I told my husband that I wanted to sleep in my daughter's room tonight, something I've been doing a lot since this all started. I cried all night watching her beautiful face so peaceful and happy. This morning, Jay called me and we talked for over an hour. He was very subdued and I heard the fear in his voice. He told me that he respected my wishes in taking a break from each other, but also to remember that even when I was at my weakest, I still knew exactly what I wanted, and that I chose to stay and secure a future for myself and my daughter. You're too close now to your goal just to stumble and fall. He said he loved me, and that he never felt like this before, and that he will wait. I cried for a good hour afterwards, already missing his voice. I know that my marriage is unsalvageable, that I'm doing the right thing leaving it, even with the nagging feeling of guilt that's simmering beneath the surface, boiling over every now and then, waking me up at night, but I need to do this alone now. I want to look back with no regrets. The guilt will probably never go away entirely, but at least it won't have Jay's face now he's not in the picture anymore. So that's what's been up with my life. I told you that it wasn't an update really, and I'm sorry that it is long and confusing, but that's all I have right now. An honorable thing to stick to such a hellhole for the sake of your child's happiness and comfort, but many of the comments disagree with this kind of decision, many from a personal experience of it all. My mum cheated on my dad and they stayed together for the sake of their children. My entire childhood, I wished that they would split up, and as an adult, I still do. It's the same for my siblings. Kids hear and feel everything. Even encouraging that the sooner she does this, the better the child will be for it, because while they're young, this is the best time for them to understand how they can be happy, even if your biological parents are separated. But yeah, a sad ending of sorts. She seems to push away the one thing that was actually making her totally happy and secure. But thankfully, the story doesn't end there, as a month later there's a little bit of an extra detail to go on to. Jay has now left his wife. Jay's mum is sick. She lives in another city about 7 to 8 hours drive away. Jay went to visit her and texted me before going. He apologized for texting me because we weren't supposed to keep in touch anymore, but he wanted me to know he was out of town. I drove over there on Thursday because it sounded like it was serious. I arrived to the hospital around noon. He looked miserable. His mother isn't even old. She is 58. My heart is breaking. I could only stay for an hour before heading back home. I feel so guilty leaving him alone. His sisters live across the world and they won't be able to fly home before Christmas. So on Friday, Jay came home and broke off his marriage. I don't know all the details, but he didn't mention to her that he knew about her infidelity. Just that he wasn't happy anymore, and he didn't want to be married to her. He texted me and thanked me for visiting him and his mother, and told me about him filing for a divorce from his wife. He is moving back to his hometown to be with his mother. He left yesterday, but he will be back once more to get the rest of his stuff. Even though I understand him, and even if I wasn't seeing him anymore, the city feels empty and gloomy without him. So it seems things are finally falling apart for these affair partners. Based on the previous story of them no longer being in contact as much, maybe they had a falling out too. But coincidentally, after this all happens, we find out in the comments from the OP, I have noticed my husband more busy with his phone this weekend, especially yesterday. Maybe they have started texting again now and she told him about her marriage. I don't know. But with all that, we move to the final conclusion of all this, the confrontation of the husband. I have told my husband that I know about his affair and that I've been working towards leaving him for the past year. And as you expect, the husband somehow makes him the victim. I'm still going strong with my studies. And as I said, I have secured a job in April with decent salary that will increase with 30% once I graduate 2 months later. I have also signed a lease on an apartment that is a few blocks away from my daughter's school. You can't imagine the happiness I was in when I found the apartment, but most importantly, that they accepted my bad credit, having had not any income for over 2 years now. My new job contract and reference was enough, and I have to pay for 3 months ahead. I get the keys April 1st too. I still need to talk to a lawyer. I just don't want to throw my money before it is getting closer and I need the help. I have found non-profit organizations for women that I could call and ask for information and advice. I'm not really in an abusive marriage, but they have experience of all sorts of marital and divorce problems. As I stated, since I found out that my husband was cheating on me, our intimate life died. In the beginning, my husband didn't seem bothered about it. Certainly because he had someone else, someone new, but with time, it has been over a year now, and God, it has been the longest yet shortest year of my life. With time, he started to show me affection again, trying to get intimate with me. I avoided him like the plague. He never pressured me, but he was getting upset, and I felt him getting frustrated. I think his affair had died out by then, or maybe it wasn't as fun and exciting for them. I don't know. I'm not an expert on affairs. For over 2 months now, he has been trying to open the subject of our non-existent intimate life. But I just told him that I didn't have a drive, or that I was busy. This was being my last year of my studies. I have been able to keep him at bay, and while my explanations and excuses weren't making him happy, they were good enough to keep him away. That was until about a week ago, when he wanted to discuss this seriously. I told him again that I was busy, and that my intimate drive was very low. It is. He said that it wasn't just the intimacy. We had no general intimacy. He barely is allowed to be near me. I never talk to him anymore. I don't make an effort anymore. I asked him if we could just wait until after the holidays because I'm too busy. and I didn't want to ruin it for our daughter who loves Christmas. He then said something that triggered every nerve on my body. Something like, it was not healthy for a marriage when one partner neglects the other, because then you start looking somewhere else. Damn, son! Is your husband an audio editing program? Because the audacity! I just said that it wasn't true because he started sleeping with her name way before I started neglecting him. He was in total shock. First, he tried to know more. Maybe he misheard me. Then he started to deny it. Then made excuses. Then started apologizing. Then he started asking for details and what my plans were. When I told him about me getting a job and an apartment, he started pleading, trying to hold me. Now this past week, he's tried to talk to me every day, and I have been calm with him. He had so many questions. Why didn't I tell him before? At least he could have explained. She meant nothing to him. The relationship ended. He had no feelings for her. It was just physical. He loved me and nobody else. Think about our daughter. He regretted what he did, and that's why he ended it. Why was I not more upset? I told him that I had mourned us for a year, and that I'm over it now. He still thought this was unfair, because this is all new to him. I told him about my job, my new place, and I asked him to be patient with me and to think about our daughter and put her first in whatever is coming. He was so angry by that and told me that if I thought about our daughter for a second, I would have confronted him there and then. Be honest. We could have tried to fix it with therapy and some effort because he never loved anyone like he does me, and he would drop everything else to try and make it right with me. But I chose secrecy, plotting, and planning my life without him while pretending everything was fine. Did I, though? I started crying and begged him that however angry he is with me, not to take it out in a way that affected our daughter. I told him that I did all of this for her. I didn't want her to see us fight. I didn't want to leave without having the means to offer her a good life. Now he is so angry with me all the time. He barely looks my way. He is still sweet with our daughter, though, and that is comforting. I sleep in my daughter's room most nights. I never meant for it to blow up this soon, but you can spend your whole time planning and preparing the perfect exit, but life has never been predictable. I don't regret my outburst. Maybe it was time anyway. I will continue communicating with him about the importance of staying civil to each other. He is angry now and feels cheated and deceived, and I get all that, but I need him to put aside the hurt and think of our daughter, just like I did. And just like I did, he will get over the pain in time. So okay, huzzah, the man's finally got his just desserts. But what is happening with Jay? Well, there's some quick little edits about that. As said earlier, Jay is in the process of divorce too. He has moved back to his hometown because his mother is very ill. His sisters live in Australia, but they have both come home, so it feels good that he and his mother are not alone. I have visited them 3 times since I heard the sad news, but he lives far away, so I haven't been able to stay for long periods to support them. We talk over the phone every morning, though. He is devastated. Also, no, I haven't told my husband about Jay, nor am I gonna. If by any chance Jay and I end up together, then everyone will know, including my husband. But we are not willing to tell my husband or anybody about how Jay and I met. We have decided that long ago, when we were dreaming about our future together, that we wouldn't tell our exes how we met. It is for the best for anyone involved. I'm keeping this promise. It is nobody's business but ours. And all of Reddit, I guess, too. But we don't know what the future holds. Jay lives in another town, 8 hours drive away. We haven't talked about us in ages. We have a lot going on in our lives separately. All I care about now is his mum doing better, or at least not to suffer. Comments, of course, calling out the fallacy of the husband here. You were secretive, while he was, what, open about cheating on you? Ugh. I'm glad you were getting out of this soon. The audacity of putting the blame on you is mind-boggling. Yeah, seems he feel like he lost the opportunity to keep his family. If she had told him he thinks there was a way to save the relationship, counseling, love bombing, financial threats, etc., because she's known for so long and has essentially moved on as well as made plans for it, he's denied the opportunity to essentially manipulate OP into staying in the relationship. The fact that the opportunity was never there, and he destroyed his marriage the moment he stepped out, hasn't dawned in his tiny, smooth brain yet. Despite the love, though, it seems this is an inconclusive story so far, so fingers crossed we come back in 2023 of April to hear that, huzzah, the mother's doing fine and Jay and OP are bunking like lovers. Sticking to the theme of cheating partners for the sake of it, my mum took my cheating ex-girlfriend's side over mine, and I can never forgive her. I was raised by a single mum. My dad died 2 years after I was born. I focused on my career for the most part of my life, and my mum supported me doing that. But when I was 20, I met my ex-girlfriend, and we got together. We were colleagues at first, but she told me she'd work in a different sector soon. In her new workplace, she met a new guy who she fell in love with while being in a relationship with me. Wow, what a surprise. Someone in their early 20s falling in love with every new person they meet in a new environment they're in. I only found out because she admitted to having it on with him to me after she went out for a girls' night with her friends. I immediately broke up with her and threw her out. A few hours of me trying to process what happened, my mum called me and shouted at me that she hasn't raised me like this. I was confused and asked what she meant, and she said that my ex-girlfriend accused me of cheating on her and that she found proof of that on my phone. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I tried to talk to my mother, telling her that the exact opposite is true and that she has cheated on me, but she didn't believe me. Part of the reason is probably because she and my mum truly love each other. I never had a problem with that. Till then, I liked how they got along with each other. My mother called me a liar, and she said she'd disinherit me from her will, as she's not having a cheater as a son. She said she never wants to see me again. Then later, my grandparents called me to tell me how disappointed they are of me, and that I deserve every bad thing that is to come. You know what the worst thing was? I found out that my cheating ex-girlfriend continued to meet with my mom after everything she did. All of this was so painful for me. The only person that sided with me was my best friend, who was furious with her. I talked to him and he hugged me and I cried in his arms. I know many people would think that's unusual for two guys, but his support really helped me getting through this. 1 year later, when I already was over it, my doorbell rang, and when I opened, I saw my mum with teary eyes. And I began to feel how my emotions are coming up, and I slammed the door and started crying, asking her what the frick she wants here. She said she wanted to talk to me, and that she was so sorry. After she begged for 15 minutes straight, I gave in and opened the door. She said my ex admitted that she cheated when she was drunk. She apologized profusely and said that she knows that she failed as a mother, not believing her own child. I told her that I accept her apology, but I don't want to see her now, and that I probably can never forgive her. Even though she begged me to forgive her, over the last few months, she started calling me daily, just to hear my voice, as she said. She said she missed me, then apologized again, and asked if I could just come over. Her voice always sounded kinda painful, and she always says how much she loves me and that even she could understand that I hate her, and she cannot live with this thought on her head. I don't even hate her. I still love her. She is still my mum, but the trust is broken. I can never trust her again because what if I got into a new relationship again? Who says that she wouldn't just believe their word over mine again? I appreciate her efforts, but I just cannot forgive her or even see her now, and I hope she understands that I need time. Okay, your ex is a horrible human being. The mother as well. Hose of a feather. My God. This is a theft notice. I am stealing this phrase for future use. Thank you for your cooperation. The story, though, does not end here, as just a day later, the OP does bring us an update, as apparently a lot of comments had suggested some very important questions that he should ask her. After reading too many comments yesterday, I decided to meet with my mom today to clarify everything. I texted her to come over, and she didn't hesitate. She literally appeared at my door within 15 minutes. Was mom like sleeping in a nearby car or something? Many of you pointed out good points I should ask her. Even though she called several times, we rarely really talked, so when she came over, I sat her down in the living room. There, I asked about my grandparents, her will, and if she is still in contact with my ex. She explained that she had told my grandparents, and she expected them to call me, but it seems that they were too stubborn. She also said I'm in her will again. She then started talking schmidt about my ex. She said that when she found out, she punched her so hard that my ex lost a few teeth. Now, I very much doubt the accuracy of this story detail, but I wanted to share it anyway because, for me, it was a funny thing to think about. She said she told her to frick off and threw her out of the house. She then, again, started apologizing profusely and telling me that she knows how hard she messed up and that I probably can never trust her, but she wants to do everything in her power to make this right. She explained that the man before my father had cheated on her, so infidelity was a sensitive topic for her. And then she said that she regrets not believing me or even remotely hearing my side of the story. I sat quiet while she explained all this. I then asked her how I know that I could trust her now. What would happen if I got into a similar situation, and if she would just throw me away again? She said I have her word, and I replied that her word is basically meaningless as I don't trust her in the first place. She didn't reply to that answer properly and again begged me to forgive. I told her that I cannot forgive her for now, and maybe I will never be able to forgive her, but I also see her efforts, and if she wants me in her life again, then she has to show me that I can count on her. She started tearing up. I could tell she tried to hold in her tears the entire time, but then she broke down crying and, with a whimpering voice, asked me if she could at least give me a hug. I accepted that, and she said she's gonna make this right no matter what it takes, and then she left. Now, while I am kinda touched in how she shows how much she regrets doing what she did, I am really concerned about my own reaction. When she broke down and I saw my own mother there on the floor crying, I didn't feel anything. I wasn't sad, I wasn't angry, I wasn't happy, and I certainly didn't show any sort of empathy for her. I just couldn't. During the year of having no contact with her, I refused to go to therapy. Maybe it's not too late to do that now. Nah, mate, nothing wrong with casually disassociating from a very seriously personal experience. You're just efficiently managing your emotional resources for the day. Save the crying for something more worthwhile, like when you see Mufasa dies in The Lion King. But yes, things end there pretty much, and it's nice to see that this woman was able to learn from her mistakes here of just assuming that, okay, your personal bad experience you've just projected onto you, not even like your own new partner, but your own son.